Now, that is Enochian, and it's kind of sobering to realize that this seems to have an origin in the Book of Revelations and the Book of Daniel, and this is very reminiscent of William Blake's apocalyptic poetry and artwork and whatever. This is kind of scary stuff. And so, and Crowley, when he did, and of course you're remembering that this Crowley's interpretation is polemic, you get in Teats, and when he's doing Teats, it's arise, 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 let the light of the sight of time be extinguished. Let darkness cover all things, for my Father goeth forth to seek a spouse to replace her who has fallen and defiled. Seal the book with the seals of the stars concealed, for the rivers have rushed together, and the name YHVH is broken in 1,000 pieces against the cubic stone. Tremble, ye pillars of the universe, for eternity is in the travail of a terrible child, and she shall bring forth a universe of darkness. Whence shall leap forth a spark that shall put his father to flight? Now, you see, like I said, even though that we know that Crowley, of course, that's done after the Book of the Law. However, that first aether, Teats, it does have some characteristics, like Crowley said. Crowley's vision of the voice, it's thelemic, but it is in its thelemic way. It's accurate to the aether itself. The aether, the way Schiller describes the structure of the aether here, it says location Teats is the lowest and most material of the aethers. It's located in the etheric plane or lower astral plane, which surrounds the Earth and is in fact the etheric body of the Earth. A brief description: this aether, as its name implies, is divided into 4 major sections as follows. North, the region of karma and strong karmic forces. East, the region of desire. Now, by the way, that north is where Crowley would, that little section I read you from the Vision of the Voice, that was from the north. East, the region of desire and charged with all manner of personal desires. South, the region of silence and a strong tendency toward nonverbal communication because of the difficulty in finding adequate words. And west is the region of personal limitations and a tendency of the ego to realize its shortcomings. Pretty good breakdown that Schiller has there, but I want to just mention my first experience with Teats, and I've been there for several times because, you know, we did the Aether program. And my first experience with Teats, I went to the south. What this, you go into the ball. The way we do this is we do the opening by watchtowers, which I'll briefly go over in a minute. And we're sitting around the altar, and we go, we either close our eyes. We've sometimes experimented with keeping our eyes open, but I think it's better to close your eyes and project yourself into the orb on the altar, the orb on the double cube, and go into the aether when we finish the chant. And the chant after the call, Zakaro Zambrano do Kikleka, and then we go and we project into the ball. Now, when I got in there, and it was this great big vast plain, and there were the four quadrants, at the ends of the quadrants, you could see these four stations. Well, when I got to the south, which is supposed to be nonverbal communication, here is this gigantic black onyx lion, huge lion, great big paws stuck out. He's, sitting there with his paws stuck out like the Sphinx. And the lion looking down and it was a live statue, and I could see that the lion was, kind of alive. It had yellow eyes, and I was looking down at me, this big black lion. So I walk up in between my little spirit body. I walk up in between the paws, and I look up at the lion, and I said in my mental voice, and I said, okay, show me nonverbal communication. And bingo, I was inside the lion looking down at myself saying, okay, show me nonverbal communication. Okay, he sure did. So that was my first experience in the South Quadrant of Teats. Now, this is the sort of thing that I think this is the sort of, the reason I'm telling you that particular account is this is the kind of thing that you could look for in exploring these aethers. I would suggest, because of the nature of Enochian and because of the fact that these entities, if you want to call them angelic or not, they are so abstract. They are so different than the spirits that we're usually used to working with, that I would not use Enochian magic personally for any personal gain, or for heaven's sake, don't ever try to use it for black magic. I mean, or anything like that. I know some people do, but I would use it, and we use it to acquire knowledge, experience, and to develop your spiritual consciousness as you explore the aethers. It's kind of like Star Trek, you go where no one has ever gone before. You're exploring these higher planes, and you're visiting the realms where the entities in these realms, I don't think they particularly like you. And I don't think they particularly, this is one of the reasons why it's sometimes hard at a certain level to get into the next aether. Because these entities, they don't necessarily like you. Once you get in there, they'll give you the knowledge and give you the counsel, the knowledge. But I know there are other people practicing Enochian that they think that Enochian can do just about anything for them. Well, okay, you want to do it that way? That's fine. Now, let me get into a little practical work here. And by the way, before I forget it, we've discussed Crowley's contribution, and I should mention that the Golden Dawn uses Enochian extensively in their inner order work. And they took D. and Kelley's system, and they tried with some success, and it's debatable how much success, but they tried to make it blend and link up, and they enhanced it to have it link up with the Kabbalah and with the Tree of Life. And so they added a lot of complications and a lot of correspondences and interrelations to the Enochian tablets. Now, some of that I think is very good, and I'm not criticizing it. It makes the system richer, and it makes the system probably does tie it into to the Kabbalah better. But you could also say that it's a force fit. And so Enochian has been split at this time. Enochian is split into two main streams. There's the deep purists who say they don't want to fool around with anything the Golden Dawn or Crowley did. They just want to do it the way D. and Kelley. They take the system and do it the way D. and Kelley set it up, and they have a point of view, and they have a very definite point of view. And then there are the people who follow the Golden Dawn and the later developments of Crowley, and this is where the system is made to fit into all the Agrippian correspondences that they wanted to make fit, and it becomes very complex. All the little squares and the tablets then become truncated pyramids, and you end up with tablets. If you build them this way, you end up with tablets that look like waffle irons. And this can get really, really complicated. At one point, Lon DuQuette did a video on how to, in which he had all these truncated pyramids, and he was moving them all around. Unfortunately, that video never did get released, or at least it never got released in any way that you can get a hold of it. But if you could, you would realize that the full complexity of the system. Now, yet on the other hand, regardless of the complexity, you can take it either way. You can do it the way Dean Kelley did it, and there's plenty of books on how to do it that way, and then there's plenty of books on how to do it the other way. But now, Lon DuQuette has come up with, and I got to recommend this before we get into this practical work here. I've got to recommend Lon's book because this is probably the best all-around book on Enochian magic that anybody's come up with yet. It's called Enochian Magick, an introduction and practical guide to the magic of Dr. John D. and Edward Kelley by Lon Milo DuQuette. And it has a foreword by my old friend Clay Holden, who helped us out when we published the Golden Dawn's Book H in the 7th Ray some years back. And Clay is one of the people who really, really, really is an Enochian expert. And Clay was very impressed with the book, and I am too. I'm nowhere near the Enochian expert that Clay or Lon are, but I think Lon has taken the D and Kelley system and managed to get it to where it's comfortable with the Golden Dawn amplifications, and he has blended the two to where it brings the two divergent streams back together. And so, if you're gonna get a book on Enochian, a real book on Enochian that you can sink your teeth into and really understand and get it, this Enochian Magick is the one to get. Now, along that line, however, if you are a New Ager and you're just getting into Enochian and you are you're overwhelmed by all of this complexity, and I don't blame you. I would. It is somewhat overwhelming. Then there is a fellow by the name of John DeSalvo who has come up with a nice kind of a New Ager discovers Enochian kind of book called The Lost Art of Enochian Magic. And Lon DuQuette did the foreword for him and the introduction for him. And John's approach is kind of comfortable and nice, and doesn't particularly emphasize any of the dangers of this. He takes a very positive, devotional kind of approach, and it's a good deal simpler and easier to get into, and it's just kind of a nice thing. And I would say, because Lon recommends it, and on top of that, he has a CD in the back where you can where he pronounces the calls. The one thing that John DeSalvo says, and I think needs more work on this, is that John DeSalvo is of the idea that the pronunciation of Enochian is very, very important. Now, Jeffrey James, who we got Jeffrey James, the microfilm out of the British Museum to do his book called the Enochian Evocation of Dr. John D., which is a very good book. Before Lon's came out, it was the best on Enochian. Still is a good book. Jeffrey, said, well, the angels don't have vocal cords, and so it doesn't matter how you pronounce this. And that's one way to look at it.